It has been a long 6 months, but we are finally back with the qualifiers for Season 2 of the Majora Cup hosted by the Supernovas. We're going to have 4 events lined up today. We have hill climbing, hurdles, archery, and black hole endurance for the qualifiers. Here you can see the groups. Those 8 teams right there that you see on the right, they will not be here. They're competing in the friendly round because they either already made it into the A-League or the B-League. We're starting off with hill climbing. Here's a test run by one of the 16 test teams, the Supernovas. Hill climbing, the scoring process is a little complicated, but you'll see how it goes while we get on. The Lizard Leapers are our first run of the qualifiers. And there they are off, and this is a pretty good looking run. They're very bunched up. You don't want to have separation, because if you are separated, you will have a penalty. 131.4, but 129.9 minus a separation. That's a pretty good sort of baseline run to start. They will go into P1, of course. The Frostbite Flyers are up next. Can they perhaps try and beat the Lizard Leapers run? Let's see. That's also looking pretty good, but the separation is a bit wider there. Yeah, actually, yeah, 129.4. That is just slightly lower than the Lizard Leapers, but still a pretty good run. And what about the Balls of Goo up next? Of course, we're starting off with Group A here. I forgot to mention that with the A-League teams. Oh, and that is not nearly as good. The separation's really bad there. They had good distance, but the separation brought them down to 126.1. That is a pretty weak run in comparison to the last two, but we'll have to see how that evolves. Now it's the Manic Monarchs up next, and that's looking a bit better. The separation's pretty solid there. The distance, though, isn't as good, so 126.4. It's better than the Balls of Goo. They will go into P3, but it's not going to compare to the Frostbite Flyers or Lizard Leapers. Next up, the Bronze Bengals, one of the worst teams last season. They got 14th. How can they do here? And it's not looking bad. There's a different camera angle, and 122.8. That is not good. There's a different camera angle with this one because that run didn't exactly, the second camera wasn't working there. So, anyways, the Exotic Emeralds are up next. The Exotic Emeralds got 13th last time. And that's not looking good. That's looking like another pretty weak run. 116. That'll be last, and that'll probably stay there. A run below 120 is basically a death sentence for these teams. Now the Caramel Crew. I forgot to mention, many teams here had their individual members renamed and also had some roster changes. So some teams got moved around. This is one of the big ones. But 121.7, another pretty weak run from the Caramel Crew. So far, none of these runs are really able to stack up to the Frostbite Flyers and Lizard Leapers, the first two that we saw. The Mono Madmen now are up next, another B-League team. And they did not have the distance there. The separation was really good, but the distance was not. 122.5. It's 6th out of 8 so far. We're already making pretty good progress through this first event. The Candy Crushers are up next. And they will have a false start. So they will go again. How will the second run go? And that is very good. Very minimal separation. There's 0.2 in separation. Is nearly perfect. 128.4. That'll put them in 3rd. That is exactly where they want to be. That is a very good run. Even with that false start, they still managed to keep it going. The Blood Moons now up next. And that is basically, see, there you go, 0 for separation. That is quite literally a perfect run in separation. Otherwise, not great. 122.8 will only get them into 6th. Now the Glowing Moons, one of 2 teams alongside the Mono Madmen, I forgot to mention. They got a uniform change. Now they are just this nice clear marble. And 125.2 into P6. That is not a bad run in comparison to some of these other runs that we've seen, but still not quite at the top. The Planetary Pirates are very last runner here for Group A. How will they manage to round things out? It's not looking great. They didn't have very good distance. The separation was solid. Actually, P6 is not bad. That'll actually get them into the top half. The top 6 from both groups, by the way. will qualify. Here we have our podium Lizard Leapers taking the gold in the first event. Here are the results. The top 6 teams will qualify, so the Planetary Pirates just barely managed to put themselves in a good position right now. The Mono Madmen and the Caramel Crew also get extra points from their qualifiers runs. Next up is Team Antarctic for Group B, starting us off, and that is not very good. I have gotten words from the track builders that there was a bit of a break between Group A and Group B being filmed here, and the Group B runs will not be nearly as good. Anyways, that wasn't a bad run for Team Antarctic. How the Pyromaniacs do? The Pyromaniacs have minimal separation. The distance is also better. P1 126. That's exactly where they want to be to start off. The Blackout Ninjas up next. Blackout Ninjas did have a roster change, actually. And it won't work out too great for them here. The separation not looking very good, and the distance was actually decent, but the separation, that back marble, was really straggling there. And it'll only be an 122.3. Now the Shell Shockers are up next. Another main league team here. They did okay. This doesn't look very good. P4, that'll be last. I think that actually ties with the Blackout Ninjas, but I think they lose out on the separation score there. Now the Science Sprinters are up next. They got 15th last season, and oh, that is... Sea Serpents up now. They got last season as our hosts. How will they do this time? It's looking okay, not amazing, but 9.5 as a separation. That is not good. That will drag them down to second to last so far. But now we have the Deep Sea Divers up next. Won the B-League last season, and this isn't terrible. 5.6 as the separation. For 122.5 in total, that is not terrible. And now the Megabots up next. And that's looking okay as well. A bit of separation there, but 124.2 is pretty solid. From 129.4 in distance, that's looking pretty good for them. And now the Patriotic Racers up next. Got 8th last season, infamously did terrible in qualifiers, and what was that? What happened there? 106.2. That is the worst run we have seen so far, and that'll probably stay that way. That'll definitely be last. Now the Hornet Hive Mind up next. How will they do? Ooh, lots of separation there. And it's -7. With the separation going from 126.7 to 119.7. That's not amazing. The Freezing Kings now are penultimate runners for Group B. And that's also not looking terrible, but the separation isn't looking too good either. 118.9 in total for P10. That is not at all good. The Zodiac Signs will end us off now. Just barely missed out on the main league last season. Let's see if they can improve this time. And that looked like a very good run. Minimal separation there. And they will actually get third. 124.2 is pretty solid for them. Actually, no. I'm hearing that was actually an error. They actually tied with the Megabots, and the Megabots just barely went out of the tie. And here we have the results for Group B now. Pyromaniacs in the lead with that gold. But now we move on to the second event, the hurdles. Here you can see the demonstration run. We actually have a different type of track this time. Lizzie, Catter, Nougat, and Harvest will start us off in Group A. It's currently the Caramel Crew out to the lead, and it will stay that way with Harvest from the Blood Moons getting second. Now this is a very fast event. It will be very hard to commentate. 3.04 is currently the leading time. There is no separation for this, or no advancement, and the Mono Madmen will win in this heat. 3.02, that'll take the lead. Glowing Moons, though, they will tie with the Caramel Crew. Now the Balls of Goo, Exotic Emeralds, Candy Crushers, and Planetary Pirates. Candy Crushers will get the win this time around, and that is very good for them, given how they got bronze last event. So they will be getting second in this event, and as you can see, it's already over for Group A. Mono Madmen, Candy Crushers, and Caramel Crew will be the top 3 here. All B-League teams getting on the podium, which is interesting. And now the Candy Crushers take the lead in this group. Exotic Emerald sitting only at 1 point. That is not good. But now we have the Group B and Deep Sea Divers immediately taking the win in this first heat. I didn't even have time to commentate that. But that looked pretty good. 3:02. That's the same time that the Mono Madmen got. But now we have the second heat, Pyromaniacs, Science Sprinters, Megabots, and the Freezing Kings. Right now it's the Pyromaniacs with the lead, but Megabots will actually make a comeback and get 3.01. That will take the lead. The best run we've seen so far. We'll have to see if any team in this final heat can get under 3 seconds. Let's see here. Right now it's the Zodiac Signs taking the lead, and they will win it this time around, getting P3 with a 3.03. That will give them third in this event. Another high-scoring finish for the Zodiac Signs. That is very good for them, though Megabots will take the lead just in front of the Deep Sea Divers in second. The Sea Serpents and Science Sprinters, the bottom 2 from the main league last season, getting bottom 2 here, and that will reflect in the overall scores. Now the Megabots have the lead as we move to the third event, Archery. You can see the Northern Lights testing it out here. Not too many changes. It's basically the same format. However, we do have a different board now that has up to 10 points instead of 8. And the board is also much longer this time around. These runs will be pretty lengthy, actually, as this time the members go down one by one instead of all at the same time. And that's what that looks like. Now we start with the Lizard Leapers, same order as in hill climbing. It will just go one by one each member. That looked like an 8 there for, I think that's Iggy. And now Callie will get I think that's a 9. These are just rough estimations from what I'm saying. Not sure if they're accurate. That's a 7 though for Sally, I can tell you that much. And last, Allie will get 7. Allie is the rename of Draggy from Season 1. It's same marble, though, and that's a 37 to start. Now, since there are 10 different, up to 10 points per marble, as you can see, now they can get up to 50 points instead of 40, which means, obviously, the record will be broken, which means it won't be counted for this. But now we have the Frostbite Fires up next. So far, looking pretty consistent, but not too amazing. What will this third marble give us? It'll be, I think, a 6 or a 6.5 now. And now I think that's a 9. We haven't seen a 10 quite yet. And then it'll end off with a 7. The Lizard Leapers actually have the record for archery and won it last season. So Frostbite Flyers being behind them right now is really no surprise. The Lizard Leapers currently in first, but what about the Balls of Goo? What can they do with their archery run? And that looks like a 6.5 to start. They actually had an interesting roster change where they swapped their captain and reserve, so we'll have to see how that works out for them. So far, overall things are looking solid. There was a 5 there for the third member. Oh, and I think that was our first bullseye we just saw from Sludge of the Balls of Goo, and an 8 to end it off, and 37. That will actually tie with the Lizard Leapers, but they win the tie since they did get a bullseye and the Lizard Leapers did not. So that is pretty good, but also rather inconsistent. We'll have to see if they can be beaten. I think they might be able to. Will the Manic Monarchs be that team to beat the Balls of Goo? And so far, just a 6 about there. And now an 8. So far, this is looking pretty consistent. We'll have to see where they can go from here. And that's about a 9. This is looking pretty good so far. They actually had Moth change to captain. And what was that? I think that was a 1 there. Oh, absolutely destroyed the run, and about a 6 to end it off. Moth is now their new captain. And I think that was Mona, the previous captain, who got a 1 there. They could have had a very good run there. They could have taken the lead, but don't know what happened there. It's only a 30. It's going to be last. Goes to show how much a single bad marble can completely ruin your archery run. The Bronze Bengals are up next, and so far this is looking pretty solid. I think they got a 7 and a 9 to start. Another 7. This is looking very consistent. We'll have to see if they can keep it going. And it's about a 6.5. How will they end this run? Can they perhaps take the lead? Oh, and no, they can't. They get a 2.5 there at the end. That's a very weak ending run for them, and that'll only give them a 32. Again, you gotta make sure you have consistency. If you have some marbles like that have a bad run, it'll completely ruin the whole team's run. Now, the Exotic Emerald's currently in last with only 1 point. They're really gonna have to get something done here in these last 2 events. They got a 5 to start, 9.5, I think. This is looking pretty good. Now, Jungle, the third member. Oh, and whoa, what was that? They will get a 0. They didn't even make it to the end. It's a 6. What can the reserve Fern do to potentially salvage something? And it's only a 7. 28. That'll take last. The Exotic Emeralds might be getting another last place finish. These qualifiers are really not going their way so far, and they really have to pick things up, and they won't even do it in archery, which is an event that they are historically okay at. The Caramel Crew now start off with a 4.5. That is not good. The Caramel Crew got second in the B League, so they have pretty high expectations here, especially with 2 extra points to help them out. So far, this run is looking okay. Definitely not the worst we've seen. How will the last marble end it off? And that will end with the 7. It's pretty consistent. It will be 35. That'll go into third. But given how we are just over halfway done with Group A here, that could definitely change. But maybe they'll be able to keep the podium spot. Next up after that, the Mono Madmen got a uniform change from their frosted selves. And now they have even higher expectations, because the only thing holding them back last season was that they had frosted uniforms. And that will be a 9.5 in their second run, which is pretty solid, but a 4 there. So far, this is looking rather inconsistent. That is a 9, though. How will they be able to end their run? And it's going to be, I think, a 6 or a 5.5 there. 33 overall. It's going to be bottom half, sadly, but it's not terrible. It's not like the Exotic Emeralds. So this won't exactly kill their qualifying chances. I think they are in the qualifying zone right now. Now we have the Candy Crushes. The Candy Crushes have gotten 2 medals in a row so far. We'll have to see if they can keep it going, and that was a pretty good start. But where will they go from here? And that's not good. That's about a 5. And that's another 5. It looks like they won't be able to keep their medal streak alive here unless they can really get something done. 8.5 is pretty solid. How will they end their run? And it's only with about a 6. 35.5. That actually will go into third for now. But will they keep it? That's the question. There's still 3 runners left. If they can hold on to a third podium in a row, that would be extremely impressive. Now the Blood Moon's up next. The Blood Moons, oh, and that is a 0 for the first member of the Blood Moons. The Captain Harvest even, 9.5 though, in the second run, is very good. And then I think that's about a 7 for the third marble. And then 6, how will they be able to end this run? Will the reserve be able to pull anything off? And no, it's nothing crazy. 29, that is another pretty bad run. From what I remember, I don't think the Blood Moons are historically good in precision events, so I'm not exactly surprised, but this is still pretty disappointing for them. The Blood Moons have not had a very good qualifying run so far. Speaking of the Glowing Moons now, the other moon team here, will they be able to do better than their rivals? And an 8.5 to start off looks very solid for them. And then it's about a 6. They're going to want some really good runs here if they want to put themselves in a good position. I think they're in about the mid-pack right now. I don't remember if they're in the qualifying zone or not. And so far, this actually isn't looking bad. That was their last run. 34.5 goes into 5th. That will be top half. They actually are guaranteed a top half finish in this event, which is very solid for them. And there's only one runner left. It looks like the Lizard Leapers, and I forget who else is on the podium. I think it's the Balls of Goo and the Lizard Leapers are both guaranteed a medal here, so that's pretty good. But what about the Planetary Pirates? So far, this is looking okay. I think that was like a 8 and maybe about a 6 or a 5. And that's another pretty weak marble there. What will this next one be? That's a 9. How will they be able to end it? Will they be able to get a good run here? And it's that looked pretty consistent and actually will go into 3rd. No runs below 6 is very impressive. That'll give them the bronze. The Planetary Pirates will get a medal here in archery. They will be on the podium alongside the Lizard Leapers and the Balls of Goo. Balls of Goo, pretty impressive to manage to win this event, especially above the Lizard Leapers, who is possibly the best precision team here. And the Exotic Emeralds with the 1 point. They are already out of qualifying contention. It's all fair game for everyone else, though. Now Team Antarctic will start off Group B. That first marble did not look great. The second one looking a bit better. The third marble, Seagull. This team did not have any roster changes after Season 1. We'll have to see if that will go well for them. So far, this actually isn't looking bad. It's looking decently consistent, and 35. That would have gotten them a pretty okay finish in Group A. So we'll have to see if they can hold on to potentially a podium. Now the Pyromaniacs up next. The Pyromaniacs won the first event. They have a good history in this one, so we'll have to see what they can do here. And it's a bullseye for the second marble. That'll put them in a great spot. I think the Balls of Goo were the only team to get a bullseye in Group A. Can the Pyromaniacs get a second? We'll have to see. And I think they just did. The Pyromaniacs with 2 bullseyes. This is looking very impressive so far. And an 8.5 to end it off. 41, a run over 40. That's surely gonna at least have a good chance at getting them the win in this event. A second gold for the Pyromaniacs would put them in a perfect position here. The Blackout Ninjas up next, though. Now, the Blackout Ninjas have been rather disappointing. And oh, that is, speaking of disappointing, that first marble there, the Captain Shuriken, that was not impressive. But a 9 is pretty solid. What will their third marble do? And that's a bullseye. So far, this is looking very inconsistent, but they might be able to get a good score here. And this is looking very good outside of that one really bad run. What will the last marble do? Oh, and it's only about a 5. 36, though. That's pretty good. That puts them in second above Team Antarctic right now. We'll have to see if it can keep them in a good spot, though. Now the Shell Shockers up next. Shell Shockers have also been rather disappointing so far, and they'll start off with this 7 here. And then it's looking like about an 8. And then a 6. So far, it's looking okay. Not anything too impressive, though. They're going to want a good run here to end it off if they want to get a good score. And that's only a 7. It's very consistent, but it's not anything too impressive. Group B has been very competitive, especially in this event so far, so 33.5 is not going to put them in a good spot. Now the Science Sprinters up next. Science Sprinters, they need to get something going. They've only had 2 points so far, and that's a pretty good start for them, putting them at about 8. And it's another 8. This is looking pretty consistently solid so far. What about the third marble? Teal, and I think that's an 8.5. And now Azor. That's a bullseye, I think. I think this might be beat the Pyromaniacs if they can have a good finisher here. And that's another 8. A 42.5. And the Science Sprinters, out of all teams, will manage to take the lead in archery. Group B so far has been very impressive with these archery runs. We'll have to see if the next team, the Sea Serpents, can keep it going. And that's a 9 there. And, ooh, I think that's only a 3.5. And it's only a 5. That was a good first marble, but the rest of them haven't been good. 7.5 isn't terrible. What can the last marble do? Basilisk, who actually got demoted to reserve, and Eel got promoted. And 28. P6. I think that's just about at the same level as the Exotic Emeralds from Group A. And that's disappointing. And that'll probably not put them in a very good spot. What about the Deep Sea Divers, though? Deep Sea Divers just came off as silver. What can they do in archery? I don't think they did very well in archery in Season 1 in the B League. Oh, and one of the marbles gets stuck there. And a 9 there is pretty good. The other marbles didn't look too terrible either. And that's about a 7. How will the last marble Scuba end it? And that's another pretty good score there. 36 in total. P5, 36 would have been really good in Group A, but here, with how consistently quality these runs are, I don't think that'll put them in a perfect position. But we'll have to see. Now that we're on to the B League, the runs might not be as good, but Megabots now are current leaders in this group, actually, surprisingly. And I think they had a pretty good first marble. The second marble wasn't anything too impressive. What about the third? And that's a 9 or a 9.5. It looks like the competitiveness of this group will continue. I think that's around a 7 there. Now the last marble, and it's only a 7. So 38 will put them into third. That isn't the best run we've seen, but it's very solid. That'll surely get them a top half finish. It's not guaranteed, though, because we still have 4 more runs to go. Next up, the Patriotic Racers. And starting off with the bullseye immediately is very impressive. That's about an 8. And that's about a 5 or 6 there. Now the fourth marble. Oh, and what happened there? The fourth marble, Govern, did what Jungle from the Exotic Emeralds did. Oh, and they're saying that Govern is actually might be injured. Oh, and you can see that's a pretty nasty dent there. They're actually being carried away by Mark and Ghazi. They're going to get another run, but the coach is going to sub in for them. We don't know what's going to happen. We're going to hear back from the medics pretty soon, but that is pretty scary. In the meantime, the second marble there will get a bullseye. And it's overall not looking too bad. What about the coach? How will they... Oh, and that was like a 1. That was not a good replacement there. And 28.5. Now we are hearing back that Govern had 2 dents on them that did not... that didn't get noticed going into competing, and they may actually retire. They're gonna need a replacement going into the main season. And just like that, as the Hornet Hive Mind are running, they're kind of being overshadowed because the entire crowd is in shock right now, including me. Anyways, the Hornet Hive Mind, I haven't even been paying attention to them, but that didn't look too impressive. Yeah, 32.5. That's not a very good run. I forgot to note that in the meantime, the Patriotic Racers, even with getting a rerun, did get last there. Now we have the Freezing Kings, our penultimate runner of Group B. And that is immediately a terrible start. That'll be a 1 for the first member. And then that's about an 8. And then the third marble gets a pretty solid 9 or 8 there. I think that was a 9, might have been an 8.5. And that's another pretty good score there. What about the reserve? And that's not anything too fantastic. And the 1.5 from the captain froze. That'll ruin it and bring them down to only a 30.5. Only P9 for them, the Freezing Kings. Managed to get a medal in the last event in the B-League to escape relegation, and it seems like it wasn't really worth it so far. But now we have the Zodiac Signs. Zodiac Signs have been doing well, and they do have a decent history in this event. So far, it's looking pretty good for them. I think that's a 6 and a 9 to start, and that's about an 8 or a 7. Next up, they'll get an 8.5, and now the final runner, and it's about an 8. And that'll be in total a 39.5 for the Zodiac Signs. That is pretty impressive. That'll actually give them their second medal in a row so far. In total, pretty good. This group was, again, pretty competitive, but the Science Sprinters have won Archery. That's definitely the comeback that they've needed, the Pyromaniacs and Zodiac Signs in second and third, of course. In the Patriotic Racers, we are also getting word that in the final standings, they will get consolation points for hill climbing, because they are saying that Govern's injury is why they did so bad there. But anyways, in Group B, everyone is still in contention to qualify, or maybe not qualify. But here we have the final event, Black Hole Endurance. This will decide everything. It's just your standard funnel endurance, sort of rebranded to fit with the Supernovas theming. This will decide it all. It's the same exact track as we saw last season. So yeah, here you can see it's in fast forward here for the test run, but the Twisting Typhoons have won. And now Group A to start us off. Every single marble will be going in at once, every single team. Now, it's the Balls of Goo currently in the bottom. The Balls of Goo have Gooball, who didn't do very good in funnel endurance last season. So, putting them in this time around was quite the questionable choice. But now they've actually, it looks like they've made a decent improvement. So far, this is very chaotic, hard to keep track of. I think that's Mono Madmen in the bottom, though. And it's at the Manic Monarchs there. There's a big crowd there at the bottom. We'll have to see who will get last. In the meantime, the Lizard Leapers looking like they're going to get their third medal. Exotic Emeralds! I didn't even notice the Exotic Emeralds got last there. Which means, in total, the Exotic Emeralds will only get a single point throughout all of these qualifiers. The podium Bronze Bengals get third in this event, actually, which is quite a surprise. Who will get the win, though? I think it'll be the Lizard Leapers, and yes, it will. The Candy Crushers getting second. And the Lizard Leapers will win. There you can see. These times, not even comparable to some of the ones we've seen last season. But that was probably due to, I think there was a slight problem with the track being slanted, which caused a lot of the chaos here. But Forrest, from the Exotic Emeralds, who did have the record in this event at one point, got last. 35 seconds, that won't be good. And also, the Bronze Bengals getting third. We'll have to see where that puts them. Of course, the final standings won't be revealed until after Group B's run of funnel endurance. But yeah, a podium for the Bronze Bengals, pretty impressive. Candy Crushers and Lizard Leapers, they are safe. They're definitely going to be qualifying because they both just got their third medal out of the 4 events in these qualifiers. They are definitely safe. But what about Group B? This group has been far more competitive. So it feels like there's more to play for. And plus, this team is filled with some of the best funnel competitors in this entire competition. And that includes... who is that? I think that's actually the Hornet Hive Mind currently that was in the lead, but I think they're falling behind now. Actually, or was that the Blackout Ninjas? I can't tell. But it's actually Zor from the Science Sprinters in the lead right now. Science Sprinters, they're trying to pull on the Exotic Emeralds and get 2 medals in a row here to make a comeback. They're currently in the qualification zone, so all they really need is a particularly good finish. We'll get it last, though. Right now, it's actually the Pyromaniacs. The Pyromaniacs have been very good here. Actually, I think that's the Shell Shockers in last. Shell Shockers, they've already been doing bad in these qualifiers, and I think that will seal their fate. The Shell Shockers will not qualify for this season. Pyromaniacs, Deep Sea Divers, and Zodiac Signs also falling. And the Sea Serpents, I think, is actually in second. The Patriotic Racers, after their injury, they seem to be recovering because we have the captain there getting... Oh, they just barely managed to beat the Hornet Hive Mind at the end. But the Patriotic Racers, with their captain Patriot, will get bronze. And the Cyan Sprinters pull the complete underdog story, and they will win the Funnel Endurance to win the second gold medal in a row for the team. So there you have it. That's Funnel Endurance done. Or Black Hole Endurance, I should say. The Blackout Ninjas getting 5th with Stealth. Tech, actually, currently has the record. And they didn't even get top half in this event. But they will probably still qualify given their, I think, 3 medals in a row. The Hornet Hive Mind just missing out. I don't think that'll make the Hornet Hive Mind qualify because they have not been doing too well throughout here. We'll have to see. Zodiac Signs and Pyromaniacs and Deep Sea Divers, those 3 have been doing well. But them in the bottom of the order might be kind of scary. The last event is what killed the Deep Sea Divers and the Zodiac Signs last season in the qualifiers. So we'll have to see if that'll change things up this time. It looks like it might, though, because we also have Sea Serpents getting second. Sea Serpents didn't get a single medal last season, and they've gotten a second here in the qualifiers. And here are the final results. Here we see the teams qualifying, and it looks like the Blackout Ninjas, shockingly, 9th place from last season. They will miss out. In the meantime, we have 6 B-League teams qualifying. Here you see the roster for Season 1. The Megabots, Candy Crushers, Deep Sea Divers, Caramel Crew, Zodiac Signs, and I think the Planetary Pirates are the teams from the B-League last season that will make it this time. That'll be all. We'll see you for the next season, for the main season, soon enough.